We are now recording. Welcome to the call, everybody. My name's Casey Salgi for y'all that do not know me. Welcome to Power Hour. We meet on Mondays and Thursdays and also on Saturday morning. So Monday, Thursday evening, same time that we're on right now, and Saturday mornings at 10 Central. Very excited to have you all with us, and a lot more people still rolling in. For those that are watching the recording, really enjoy you guys jumping on as well, seeing these. Make sure if you've got any questions that you would like to ask and you can't get on one of these live, feel free to go onto our webpage and drop one of the any question that you have in the suggestion box, and we'll be able to answer those as well. So the purpose of Power Hour is for folks that have just recently gotten started with the business and have been launched. Now, we'll let you in one or two times before you've been launched, but after that, we really push for you to make sure that you've gotten launched, because it's so important in the business so that you don't come in here lost going, okay, what the heck's going on? Because the purpose of Power Hour is to absolutely 100% help you all in understanding what it is that we do here. It is your lifeline. It is your place to go. If you have any questions, not quite sure on what it is that we're doing in this business, it is the place to come. It is the place to ask your questions and make sure we get all of that clarified. All right. Most of the time, almost I'd say every single one of these that I've done, I start off by opening it up for questions. But before I do tonight, I want to cover a specific topic, and then I've got a couple of extra ones that we can go into, but I'll open it up for questions before I do. So if you have any questions, go ahead and hold those for a little bit. Write them down if they're fresh in your mind and you don't want to lose them. But what I want to discuss before we get started into anything else is we've got some really cool things that have just happened here in the last 48, 72 hours with a little something called Kyani Pro. And for some of y'all that might have been on the summit call last night, I spoke about this, but I wanted to make sure we do it here for the recording so that we can get it out to an even larger audience. And that is to talk about a difference in something that is near and dear to my heart and what I do for a living. And for y'all that don't know my background, I am in corporate America. I work at a 16 billion with a B billion-dollar chemical company, and I work in the IT side of things. I actually own the mobility and collaboration space in my company. So when new software comes out, when new technology comes out, it's coming through my organization. 42 project managers that report to me globally. So I understand technology, I understand how projects work, I understand how they need to be rolled out, and I want to make sure everybody's clear on what we just got. So I'm going to share my screen first, and let me click some buttons here. All right, Miss Jamie, give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Cool, thank you. All right, so what I want to discuss tonight is a difference between any time that you're dealing with any type of organization, any type of software, any type of unit. It's always there's three components that come into play. There's always people, there's always process, and there's always tools, okay? So people, process, and tools. One of the great things about what we do, and also one of the hardest things of what we do in this business, is it is a people business. You will have the right people in your business. Sometimes you will have the wrong people in your business. You will have people that you want to be able to help with this product. You will have people that refuse to be helped with this product. You will have everything good and everything bad with people. Why? Because it's a people business. So there's people. The second thing is you've got process. The third thing that you have is tools. And I want to make a very clear distinction between process and tools. Kyani Pro is something that just came out. Huge fanfare on this thing, a whole lot of excitement about it. And I want to make sure I'm perfectly clear to everybody that I am extremely excited about this new tool myself. But I also want to make sure that everybody understands that it is still just a tool. Okay, it is a very cool tool. But when it's all said and done, it is not a process change in our organization. All right. Now, for a lot of people that have been around for a while, we've been looking for a really nice tool to be able to have this. We had something back in the day with Team Fusion called the Team Fusion app, and it was a very powerful tool. Now, like all tools, sometimes those tools don't do just exactly what you want all the time, and there's no one tool that takes care of every single issue that you've got. And that holds extremely true for the new one that we just got, which is Kyani Pro. And so while there is a huge amount of excitement, I do not mean to tamp that down whatsoever. I just want there to be a reality check for everybody to understand that what we have in place already is a process. And that process is bulletproof. That process does not need any tweaking. That process has been battle tested. That process has been vetted. That process has been proven. And the process that we have in place is really what it is that you get when you join this business. You also get a lot of products. That's also cool. You get to hand those out as samples. But the key thing that you got was a process. You've got a system. You've got something that's been put into place that works. And that's what Power Hour is all about. I'm constantly training on the process. Okay. The process that we go through when somebody joins the business is the very first thing that we want to make sure is that we figure out their why. The next thing that we do is we go about building a list. After we get those two things done, we call that step A and step B. Then what we do with this list of 20 people, and I'm sure that was 19 little lines that I did there. With each one of these people in this box, you're going to have Al, and you're going to have Bob and Chuck and Dave and Ed and Francis and so on and so forth. So with all these different names, what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 steps for each one of those. We're going to make sure that we build something called rapport. We're going to pique interest, attempt to pique interest. And if we do, we're going to edify and pass the ball. That is the process. Okay. Now let's talk about process and tools and how they have been interacting in the past. And this is for the people that have been in for more than 3 days. Okay. So what we would do for building rapport is you would use a tool. Let's go back to the list. In fact, let's go back to the why. Where do we put the why? Some of you grab paper and you write it on paper. Some people put it on a whiteboard. Some people put it on their phone. I highly encourage you to write it out with your hand. I do that because there's a certain thing that happens in your head that causes that information to really stick. When you do this, it just causes a physiological thing to happen. The next thing is when you have this list, you're going to start building rapport. You can do that. You can implement that process in a couple of different ways. You can implement it with different tools. You can use a tool called a cell phone. You can use a tool called your mouth and have a conversation with somebody face to face. You can use something called Facebook Messenger. You can use something called text message. You can use multiple different tools to be able to build rapport. You can also use a new tool called Kyani Pro to be able to help with building rapport. Now, the next step that we're going to do is we're going to pique somebody's interest. When we pique somebody's interest, what we're wanting to do is we want to pique their interest into something that we might be able to solve for them. Do you have interest in what it is that I offer? So let's take a step back. What is it that we're trying to get to? What are we trying to dig into? When we're building rapport with them, which is the process part, done multiple different ways, when we're building rapport, the process calls for us to get an answer to one of 4 questions. We want to find out, are they interested in fixing a money problem? Are they worried about a health problem? Are they worried about a time problem? Or are they worried about a beauty problem? If they have a burning issue with one of those 4 things, then there's a very good chance that we can help improve their life. I'll give you an example on the wealth side, and I use this example often. If you're talking to one of your friends, maybe you're talking to Al here on your list, or maybe you're at the golf course talking to Al, and you're talking to Al, and Al starts talking about aunts or their daughter Susie, and Susie's just about to graduate high school, maybe got another year to go, or maybe getting ready to graduate here in a couple months, and they've got a money problem on getting Susie to college. Guess what? There's a pretty good chance in a conversation you're going to have with somebody, wealth is going to come up. They're going to mention to you in conversation because it's a burning thing in their mind. And what do humans like to talk about? They like to talk about themselves, and they like to talk about their problems. Okay? I'll change gears real fast and tell you about a guy that I ran into at Taco Cabano on Saturday evening after our Billion and Beyond broadcast. And a complete random stranger I put two and two together that he came in about the same, he walked in about the same time I did. I saw an 18-wheeler sitting out there. I saw some of his uniform, and I figured that was put one and one together, and asked him if he was driving to Houston, or is that his rig out there? Is he driving to Houston or San Antonio? Next thing I know, he's telling me that he's coming back to Houston. He's got to see his dad. I said, why do you need to see your dad? Is everything okay? And he goes, no, his health isn't so good. Just like that, somebody starts telling me about their dad not having health that's the best in the world. And then he continues on to tell me that he himself, the truck driver, has diabetes issues. He has blood pressure issues, and he has cholesterol issues. Random stranger in the lobby of Taco Cabana waiting on my quesadilla, and in less than 60 seconds, I have this information from this guy. People will tell you their issues. You just got to get a conversation started. So anyway, back to what we're trying to do. I built rapport with this guy. How do I know that? Because he told me something personal. I hadn't even figured out what his name was yet, and he's already telling me something personal. So I have built rapport. I have gotten the answer to which of the four things is this guy dealing with, and if he's got one of these things, can I help him? So what do? I move on to piquing his interest. So when you pique somebody's interest, what you do is basically repeat back to them what you just heard. So what I'm hearing you say is, your dad and you've got some health issues. He goes, yeah, why do you ask? I've piqued his interest. Now I want to further pique his interest. Why do you ask? What do you got going on? He's raising his hand. Well, I happen to have a nutraceutical company that I own that I think would really be able to help you in your issue. Would you be interested in hearing some more about it? Yes, I would. Now he's officially piqued. He's raised his hand. I want to know more. That's what we do. When I'm doing that, when I'm going through the rapport building steps and the pique steps, I want to be crystal clear. You cannot build rapport with somebody by using a canned script every single time with Kyani Pro. Okay? It is a tool. It will help you in that process. Make no mistake, it is a powerful tool, but it can't do everything for you. This business is high tech and high touch. There's some awesome tools that are out there, but the process calls for building the rapport, getting an answer to those questions, and piquing their interest. The other thing that this can't do, it's not built to do it just yet. It can do it. It'll be in there, and I think we'll see some changes that are going to be made to this because the platform of this tool is awesome. But what it can't do is it can't do an inoculation. Most of the time, what happens is when you pique somebody's interest, especially if you're building it on the wealth side, and they might be interested in the business, and they say, hey, yeah, you know what, I'm getting tired of driving this truck all the time. I need to make some more money, but I just don't know what to do. Really, sounds like you got a wealth problem. If I could show you a way to fix that and not change what you're doing for a living, would you be interested in taking a look? Yeah, what do you got? I got a guy I need to put you on with. You need to talk with him. Really? Yeah, I need to put you on with a gentleman named Lloyd Williams. He'd really be able to help you with this thing. Okay, well, what can you tell me anything about it? Not really. I'd mess it up. I ain't got time right now. We're getting ready to jump in the car. We need to get back home. You need to go see your dad. Now's not the time. But if I can get some information from you, I'd be happy to put you in touch with the right guy. When I get done with that, what am I going to do? I'm going to put him on the phone with somebody. I'm not going to send him information. He does not get the information. The next thing that he gets is something called the inoculation. The inoculation is when you put them on the phone with the proof. That's not in Kyani Pro. Now, does that make Kyani Pro bad? No, not at all. Sometimes I need a screwdriver. Sometimes I need a hammer. It's not everything. There's not one tool for every single thing. Could this become an even better tool? It will, without a doubt. It was just released. Any piece of software that ever comes out is going to go through enhancements. Okay, so I want everybody, and this is my key message here, why I wanted to jump into this right away is, when you see Kyani Pro, I don't want you getting in there and thinking that we're changing the process. We're not. We got a new tool to help us with the existing process. You all are smart enough, you've been around the planet enough to see where this is going to be able to fit in and help you. As you get better with this tool, it's great. First time you ever got a hammer and you swung a hammer, pretty good chance you hit yourself in the thumb. Okay? It didn't really work just exactly how you wanted it to work. Does that mean that there's a problem with the hammer? No, it's a hammer. It's what the hammer does. Okay? So the same thing here. Don't just come and take a new tool and then try to change the process. Now, Are there really good things about what's in Kyani Pro that could help a lot of people that don't have this process nailed down, people that don't have the organizational structure that we have in my organization? Absolutely. So there's a lot of greatness in it. But with what we're doing with our system that's moving along and absolutely crushing it, if you look at some of the recognition slides right now, top 5 on the frickin' whole United States in team building right now in my organization. Yeah, blowing up Canada, blowing up the US, blowing up all North America. Yeah, it ain't broke, folks. That process is not broke at all. Jump on board. That's why you're here, is to learn the process so that you can apply it. That's what we've built. That's what I have in place. That's what I want to make sure you guys, because on Saturday morning, we were blowing it up. And then all of a sudden after Saturday afternoon, a lot of people got a little confused on, okay, what am I supposed to do? You're supposed to keep doing the same thing you've been doing. Don't change that. If you want to figure this thing out right now, go for it. If you got bandwidth to be able to figure out the new application, go for it. Is it got some bugs in it and a couple of issues? Absolutely. It's software. That's what software does, okay? As a guy that's 20 years in the industry for software, that's what it does. And now it's being tested, officially tested. It's already tested, but there's nothing like a release to really test something. That's what's happening. They're figuring out those fixes and they will get there. If you want to be a part of the cutting edge on that technology that does that, go for it. Some people go out and buy a Samsung S9 the day it's released. You know, some people wait 3 weeks to let all of the bugs get worked out. It just depends on how you want to do it. I'm not prescribing you to use it or not use it. I think it's a great tool. But my main thing that I want you to nail down is that it's about the process. Okay, I think I have sufficiently beat that to death. All right, let's see though. Any questions about what I just said, go ahead and unmute yourself or post a comment in the chat thread and let me know. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, give me a thumbs up on it. Okay. If anybody didn't get that, please feel free to ask. Come on, there's 41 of y'all. It wasn't that good of an explanation. All right, let's see what we got on here. Oh, we got a whole bunch more people. Oh, also, if you don't mind, if you are at a place where you can turn your video on, please turn your video on. It really adds a lot to what we're doing here. I want people to see that there are other human beings. They're not just a bunch of boxes with just names. It's smiling faces. It's people that are going through life, doing all the life stuff, the ups, the downs, the good days, the bad days. We got a lot of folks on here tonight. That's awesome. Okay. If no questions about that, any questions at all about what y'all been doing, what's been working, what's not working? Anybody got some just amazing wins? Anybody got some absolute terrible losses that they want to share and get off their... William, what you got, buddy?
Well, I got a couple of things. One, what do you think about sending a video before the inoculation?
Hate it. I think it's terrible.
Okay.
I can elaborate, but that's my short answer.
No. I knew you were going to say that, and I just wanted to hear it from you.
What's the situation so we can use it for more of a teaching for a lot of our new folks?
Is it me?
Yes.
It's me, I guess. Thanks.
Oh, one of those. Y'all got a little bet going on.
Well, I was just reaching out to people and like to edify, I guess, and I was told to send videos from a couple people. Like we went out to dinner. I guess we're driving back from San Antonio and we stopped before he came home. Anyway, we had an amazing waitress. I talked to her about the women's empowerment movement. She was super excited. So I told her I'd send her some information, and I was going to send her the videos, and she hasn't had a chance to. We've been missing each other for a couple days, but I was going to send her the video.
Yep.
And then she might get on with Nina. Yes.
What's her name?
Her name is Linda.
Well, that's going to make this difficult. Make up another name that her name is.
Her name is Maria.
That's better.
Okay.
so that was fun. All right. So I'm sorry, Maria. Funny. All right. So Maria is the prospect. I can't write while I'm giggling. Okay. And then Nina, Miss Nina Trevino. Is that who you're referring to?
Yes.
All right. She's a blue diamond in the company. All right, so here's how the setup was. There's three people, and this is the triangle of effect of what happens and how this thing works. And we're going to dig into this. This is why we do it this way. So what she said is she built rapport, piqued the interest, and then what they say, I want to know more information. Can you send me some info? So here's, as soon as that happens, you've got two choices. You can go into presentation mode, or you can go down the inoculation. Those are the two choices. You have a fork in the road right there, okay? Now, here's why we do what we do. When somebody's going to make a decision to do this business, they need two things. They need to have trust, and they got to have proof. Before you do anything, you need those two things. If you really dig into any decisions that you make, any choices that you make, it's going to be based on, do I trust you, and do I have proof? So what you bring to this right here, this linkage, this is where the trust is. And for every one of you on here, you being the business partner and you having your list of 20 prospects on that sheet, when you write their name down, there's already trust that has been established. That's why they're in your head. You have some level of trust with them. Now, I added a new guy to my list at Taco Cabano literally in 15 seconds. There was trust. I know I got to the trust level because he told me about his dad and he told me about his health issues. Okay. So it doesn't have to be something that's been, 50 years in the making here. It can literally be 15 seconds in the making, but there's got to be trust. And the guy trusts me. We had a conversation. If he didn't trust me, go, I'm good. Get away from me, psycho, and walk on the other side and wait for his quesadilla. Okay. So there's got to be a level of trust and there's got to be a level of proof. Now here's the deal. You guys, for your people, for your direct people right here, you are not going to have enough proof for them in 99.9999% of the time. Okay? If you've got one of these and your cute little face is on there, cool, you got some proof. Okay? If you ain't got one of these, don't do the proof part. All right? Do the trust part. That's what you're supposed to be doing. The proof person's got to be anybody besides you. Okay. So what happens is they're looking for proof. Can you tell me some information about it? Can you give me more? Now, here's what happens. When the prospect does that, they want proof. And the built-in reaction is that their knee-jerk response is, can you tell me more? They want you to tell them more. And as soon as you start talking, the first thing in their head is, why the hell did I ask them that? They don't know a damn thing about this. They're looking for proof. They're looking for information and proof. So that's the first thing they want, is they want more information. What you've got to do is you got to understand that you're not going to be able to give them proof. Proof happens down here. This person, anybody other than you, that's the proof person, is going to establish the proof with the prospect. That's why you don't want to give them the video right away. You don't want to give them all of that information right away. You don't want to go in there and start giving them a presentation right away. Now, can you? Yes, you can. But what's going to happen as soon as they get that information, they're going to start watching it, and then their brain is going to start doing some silly things. It's as if your prospect right here has a little terrorist running around with them, hanging out on their shoulder, with a knife to their throat, constantly talking in their ear, telling them, you can't make yourself anything. You're not going to accomplish anything. You keep doing what you've been doing. You stay on the straight and narrow path. You don't do anything different. You can't have anything. Nobody in your family's had anything. And all of the years of programming that's been going on and on and on and on, it's a little terrorist sitting right here talking into your ear constantly. And you hear that voice every single day. It's just a matter, are you aware to know that it's there? So the key to this thing is you got to put a bullet in that little terrorist's head. Okay, now I'm sorry if that's graphic for everybody, but I'm making a point here. The person that puts a bullet in that little terrorist's head is the proof person, not the trust person. The trust person, they trust you, you just don't know anything. I give you a perfect example of the two of y'all that asked me this question sitting right there. Y'all trust each other implicitly. You love each other very, very much. But if one of you asks the other one a question, you don't believe anything that they tell you. That's why you had to come to the proof person to get me to do the tiebreaker for you two. Tell me I'm lying. Nobody knew they were getting marriage counseling today either. So here's how it goes down. Don't ever go to the trust person for the proof. You got to go to somebody different. That's why human beings are human beings. Don't try to fix it. Okay? Go with it. That's why we have to have the third party. That's why we got to have this person here. The other reason that we need to have the inoculation is because as soon as they get that information, that little voice that's talking, they're going to be saying, I don't have time to do this. That's the first thing they're going to say. I can't do this. Why? Because there's a little terrorist on their shoulder pumping a whole bunch of nonsense into their head. Why is that? Because it keeps us from going insane. There's too much stimulus out there. It is a built-in mechanism for survival that a human being has. We have to tune out so much stuff that's going on. If you look around your room right now, just start looking around and start becoming observant of all the stuff that's in your room right now. There are literally thousands of things in the room right now, but you haven't been paying attention to any of that. There's a light on probably. There's some blinky lights. There's some red flashy lights over there. Some blue lights over there. There's outside lights. There's a dog barking. There's a bird chirping. You know, all of that's going on, but y'all haven't paid any attention. Now you've been focused on this little box on your TV screen right now. Why? Because that's what you're interested in. You're focused on that. And you tune everything else out. So when you come up and you start sharing something with somebody, you've got trust, but you got to make sure that they're in the right frame of mind. When you're talking to an expert, you pay attention. When you're talking to somebody that you don't believe is an expert, you tune them out. And you immediately go into your default mode of, that's too much stuff. I don't have time for that. Stay on the straight and narrow and keep doing what you're doing. I've talked about it when you're about to go out and buy your new white Kiani car. You decide you're going to get a Mercedes S550 and you're driving down the road in your other vehicle and you start noticing all of these Mercedes S550s on the road. It's like Mercedes-Benz just released an extra 200,000 of these vehicles on the road. And you're like, where the hell did all these come from? I thought this was kind of a unique car. They're everywhere. What is that? It's because your brain started focus on something that you've been thinking about. And when you're focusing on that, you start seeing them all over the place. Your brain lets that into the filter. Okay? You got to get the proof person to get them the information. If you try to give that to them, that's not going to do it. And if you just send them the information before they've been inoculated, then they're not going to look at the information. You can send them stuff all day. It doesn't matter if they never click the button. Most people never even click the button. And if they do click the button, as soon as they start seeing the first 3 minutes of the video, that little voice starts going on, going, I don't have time for that. They don't know what it is that we do. I have so many people say, I'm not interested. Not interested. What? You don't even know what it is. How can you not be interested? You don't know what it is to not be interested. Not for me. I don't have time for that. Time for what? You don't even know what we're doing. So you've got to make sure that they get on with the proof person and that inoculation happens. The inoculation is built so that somebody can put a bullet in that little voice's head. And if it can do that, then they will pay attention to the information and look at it and consume it with an open mind. That's what the inoculation is for. That's why you should not send them that information right away.
I'm sorry to interrupt. What if it's our proof person that told us to send the video first and then to put them on the call right away afterwards, after they watch it? And I had another guy who I piqued as a customer first, and then he wanted more information about the business, and I was told to send him the video and then put him on.
That's a process. That's a process choice. That's all that is. You will find all sorts of different systems and all sorts of different processes on how to do things. I'm only telling you how I run it. I'm telling you how I do it in my team. I can tell you that I used to do that process right there. I would send out a whole bunch of spaghetti and see what's stuck on the wall. And if they made it through that and they actually watched it, then I would try to get them on the phone with me. Imagine how much luck I had with that overall. Not that much. A lot of people that are excited, a lot of people acting like they want to look at it, and then you can never get them on the phone again.
Hey, Linda, I
Hold
just
on,
want to,
Jamie. Hold on,
Oh,
Jamie.
sorry.
Yep,
Sorry.
we got a couple things going on.
And now he said, well, thanks for the information. I'm not at that point to get on the call. Let me go ahead and do a little more research, and then I'll let you know. It's like, ugh.
That's not somebody that's open-minded right now. Now,
Right.
here's what I will say. If you can do it one of two ways. What I do in that situation, I said, hey, no problem, knock yourself out. You're not going to get the information that you need. You're going to waste your time, be a whole lot faster if you get on with somebody else. But hey, if that's what you want to do, go for it. I take it away from them. Follow the process or go do it your way, whatever. Good luck on that. So that's an approach. Another one is you can throw the Hail Mary. If you don't think, if sometimes we set up this inoculation, we set up this 3-way chat to be able to get this inoculation, and sometimes they ghost you. At that point, I'll throw a Hail Mary. I'll send them the information, worst case scenario, because I might get lucky and they might click it and they might watch it and they might be open-minded. But I'll tell you, if I can get somebody on the phone and I can set that even deeper with them and pique them so hard that they cannot wait to see that, and I can make sure all the nonsense that's in their head is gone, it's great. There's you know it right now that they've got a whole bunch of nonsense in their head. They got to go down a certain path and do it their way. That's okay. If that's how they need to operate, let them do that. We're looking for people that are coachable and hungry. If they've got it all figured out, then they would already have it figured out. But I promise you, the people that are successful on this planet recognize when there's a system in place, and when there's one of those and they don't have to build it and they can just plug into it, those people are who you're looking for. Will this person be a rock star? Very good possibility. They could be. I don't know. But that's why I'm saying that's a different process. I'm not saying that one process. No, I am saying it. That process is not as good as this one. Plain and simple.
Thank you. That's all I was going to say. Exactly that. Use this process. It works.
Yep. So with that said, now, is that going to irritate somebody? I'm sure. That's cool. I don't care. I've been doing this for a very long time. Everybody's got their thoughts. I've got proof on how this works. I've got the documented numbers on why this works this way. Now, does everybody have the infrastructure set up to be able to do it this way? No. And that might be why they said, oh, just go ahead and send it to them, because they don't have enough people to handle those calls. That's not the right way to make it. That's what we've built here. That's why we do it that way. You guys are between a rock and a hard spot. I fully recognize that. So everybody knows this power hour is open for everybody. Anybody can come to this. Anybody can learn how it is that we're doing this, and they'll be able to use these skills no matter what, I promise. The problem's going to be if you don't have somebody that could get on there and do that, you got to find somebody that can do that. Build some people in your team, and you guys cross that over. Find some others that it just needs to be somebody other than you. You don't have to have a magazine to do that, okay? You can do that for anybody else in your organization. What's your question?
Can I pass them to William, or does
Sure.
it have to be
Sure.
anybody?
It needs to be somebody else. They need to see the system in play. They need to see the fact that they don't have to be. If it was just Linda and Maria, when you get done answering all of her questions, let's say you know all the answers, and you give her all the answers to them. What is it? And you give a presentation right there. 45-minute dissertation, man, best training ever. You nail everything, every fact, figure, compound, everything we got in this thing, and you nail it. Maria gets done, says, that is really interesting. Appreciate it. I'm not interested. You're like, what the hell? I just nailed it. I gave them all the information. Why did they say no? Because they are looking to see in their head, they're saying, I have to learn all of this stuff to be successful in this business. I have to do what Linda just did. I don't have time for that. I'm not interested in learning all of that. There's no chance I've got time to be able to do that and make this thing work. They are not saying no to what we do. They're saying no to what they think they have to do after they join. So if you give them all of that information, they're going to see that, oh my God, I got to do that. If instead you pass them to a proof person, somebody other than you, then they're going to see when they come back later and they say, well, you know what, this all makes a whole lot of sense, but I don't have the time to do this. You don't have time to do what? Let's replay. I asked you if you were interested in what we do. You said yes. And then I put you on the phone with somebody else and they answered all your questions. You can't put somebody on the phone? Oh, you know what? That's a really good point. I can do that. That only took you 47 seconds to invite me to take a look at it. I can do that. Now they say yes because of what they now know they have to do after they enroll. They can do that. When people get done with my launch, when they get done with that, the response 99% of the time is, I understand this. I can do this. When people get done with the launch and they feel that they can do this, then they can. If they feel that they cannot do this, then they cannot. It doesn't matter how many people you bring into the business. Doesn't matter how many people you sponsor. If those people that come in don't feel that they can do this business, it will not duplicate. It does not matter what works. It only matters what duplicates in this type of business. Otherwise, you will drive yourself insane with this business. You will keep bringing people in and keep bringing people in and keep bringing people in, and it will not duplicate, and you will stay at the same level year after year after year after year after year, and that is frustrating. You might get a little burst every once in a while, and then you see another burst every once in a while. That's somebody coming in, blowing it up, but everybody else can't do that. When you see somebody marching through the ranks, if you watch the volume continue to grow continuously when there's nothing going on and it's the dead of winter in this business, now you know you've got a process that's duplicating. That's what we have in place. That's why Jamie just said, follow the system. It works.
Right.
And I'm trying to give you guys the reasoning behind it so that you get enough proof for you to understand that, yep, sure enough, this thing works. And all the trainings that we're going to do in Power Hour are going to be going over these key steps. We're going to be going over the why. We're going to be going over the list. We're going to be going over rapport, peak, edify, and pass. And then we're going to circle all of this with mindset. Those are the 6 things we're going to talk about. We're going to dig into them differently each and every time, but that's all we do. That's the system. If you nail that, that's the process. That's the process that has not changed since Kyani Pro has come out. It's something that's called RP3ATF. Rapport, peak, 3-way, add, tag, follow up. That's the process. Okay.
I just got a little flustered because there was a lot going on,
and
all these
yep.
people, and I was reaching out to start the chats, and then they said, well, no, let's just do it like this, and it just got me a little flustered. So
yep, that's not having the infrastructure in place to be able to handle that. When you don't have the infrastructure in place, then that's what they default to. They do this. They do rapport, peak, presentation. And then what happens is you've got, let's say you send 10 people that you build rapport with, and then you peak 7 of them's interest. And then when you get done with the presentation, you've got 2 people left. And then you get them in the 3-way to overcome their objections. And then when you get done with that, you're going to get 1.
Right.
Or you can come through this and you can get the inoculation in place right here. You're going to actually find out what they want here instead of being a car commercial. Or I've been given the example of going to your friend's house and telling them about a plumber when they ain't got a plumbing problem. You don't know what their problems are. And all you're doing is throwing this saying, hey, you need to look at my thing. I'd give the other analogy of being at a Smoothie King, and you're sitting there with your smoothie, and somebody walks up and they're wearing a Toyota T-shirt or polo, and they say, hey, I work at the Toyota dealership across the way. You want to hear about all the cars I'm selling right now? You're like, no. Well, hey, how about this? How about I put you on the phone with my sales manager back at the office? He can tell you about all the sales we got going on. And you're like, the hell, man, I'm drinking a smoothie here. Why are you throwing up all over me about these Toyota? Get away from me, psycho. You're weird. And then they block you on Facebook. If anybody disagrees with what I'm throwing down, feel free to tell me. It's the truth. It's proof. So what you got to do is got to have the infrastructure in place to be able to handle that. When you don't have the infrastructure in place to handle this, then what you got to do is do the presentation first, and then that'll knock down the numbers, and then the person I'm going to talk to is going to be an even better prospect. Yeah, you just lost all the other people that probably had an issue. it's a higher number of people that you're going to be able to get through, but you got to have the infrastructure in place without a doubt. That's what we've got. Okay.
Thank you, Casey.
You're welcome. And Ed, you were right in the middle of asking something too. Go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, I just had a gentleman that I was visiting with. He's a physician assistant. I work in the medical field, and I have a lot of individuals that I visit with, several of them that I'm going to be visiting with, physicians and mid-levels. And so I was talking with one this evening right before we joined the webinar, and I shot out he's a fresh out of the college student, and I said, hey, you want to enter into an opportunity for a ground level business? And got to talking with him a little bit, didn't give him a clue of what it was. And he goes, is this MLM? And I says, it's better than that. I says, you get on your own distributorship. And so I didn't lead on to it or gave him, I don't know it enough to be knowledgeable to explain it. So
good. And say that.
That's 3 people today. So Sherry, hang on if you're listening. So
he did better than me. I texted my nurse practitioner friend, and I didn't get very far yet. I said, I'll make an appointment to come see you because you got bad knees, and I'll help you.
Yeah, that's good. And when you were talking to that one, I want to use that one because that happens a lot. If somebody's been in multi-level marketing, depending on how much you say, and it's really easy, especially when you're brand new, to be able to jump in and man, you're excited and you're blowing it up. I mean, folks, seriously, they just got launched yesterday. They just joined. Okay, so everybody's been there. Everybody's pumped up when that happens. When they start asking those questions, what can very quickly happen is you get in what's called the valley of death. Okay. So you pique their interest, and then you start and you say, I'm just going to tell them a little bit.
Well, let me brag on my husband for a minute here. We owned a restaurant for 14 years, and we sold it in 2008. And in 2003 or so, we had to make a choice. One of us needed to get a full-time job for insurance and benefits. And I had a respiratory therapy degree but didn't want to use it. We decided one of us was either going to go back to work or we were going to both become school teachers. And I said, you love the medical field. You've been an EMT all these years. You go to nursing school. I'll run our restaurant. I'll do all the cooking. I'll take care of the family. You go to school. And so he did. And then he took a little break. Our son had a very long illness that ended up close to 2 years. He finally was able to get back in, finish his bachelor's degree. He actually just finished it back in 2016. And so he's a director of nursing. But through all this in his schooling back in about 2010, he kept saying, I want to start an agency. I want to start a nursing agency. And I kept saying, no way, I'm not doing this. I said, we've had employees. I am not employing again. I finally, after a while, sat down one Saturday, added up the checkbook, and went, crap. Okay, I called him because he was out working agency for another company, and I said, that's it. I bite. We're going to do this. So I sat down on a piece of paper. I made a 5-year plan. And I showed him, I said, okay, here's what I want to do in 5 years. Well, we did it in 6 months. And so in year 2 of our business, we hit 1.2 million. Year 3, we hit about 1.4. We've slowed a little since then. But he's very driven.
That ain't enough.
Very, very strong-willed to make money and to be on top of things. So
I'm a people person. I'll go out and talk to him. I met a parent today on hole number 13.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, what do you do for a living? He told me he works for the oil field company. I said, well, wonderful. I'm a nurse. Let me tell you about something that I just found out about. Let me interrupt you.
That's I want to tweak that. I want to take all that enthusiasm. I want to take all of that right there. I want to make a small tweak. And before I do that, I want to tell you guys the philosophy that we incorporate is we do what's called plan, do, review, adjust. You guys have a plan. You're out there. You're doing. I cannot commend you enough. There's chats going on. I don't know if y'all seen them yet. You got diamonds on this call that are saying power couple right now. They recognize it. Miss Sarah Ho knows it. I know it. I know it when I see it. And so, but I'm going to interrupt you guys because I want to tweak one little part. I want to review. And that's what we were doing right there. You were reviewing how it goes. I want to make the adjustment. I want to make a slight adjustment. And then you've got a new plan. and we send you guys back out there and you get on the 14th hole tomorrow, and then you get that adjustment, and then off we go. So I'm not being mean, I'm not being rude, and I'm not saying you're doing it wrong. What the heck's wrong with you? I'm saying, hell yeah, you're out on the golf course, you're in the game, and you're throwing this thing out there right now, and that's why your wife is bragging on you, and I freaking love it. So here's
My
the
brother always has teased him. He could sell a bucket of crap at church on a Sunday morning.
Bad scenario.
That's awesome. So
And
here's
that's
what I
like
want you to do is
How about a flea off a camel's back?
I want you to tweak that slightly, and this is for everybody, is I want you guys to ask the right questions on what they're looking for. If you go in there and say, let me tell you about what I've got, that's the Toyota guy going over there at the smoothie shop going, let me tell you about all these sales I've got. Now, if the smoothie person wants to buy a car, that's awesome. They're pumped for that. But it's so much right away. They're like, oh, crap, sales guy, way too excited, coming in hot, danger, 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 you know, that can happen. And so what you want to do is instead of that, be real good at asking questions. Find out what they want. Now, chances are pretty damn high that they're going to have a question. They're going to have a problem about health or wealth. Then when you come in there and say the exact same thing, you say, dude, I got to tell you about what I've got. That's what I did with the truck driver. If I'm talking to the truck driver at TC's and I walk up randomly to the guy and say, hey, I got to tell you about a health and wellness thing, he might be thinking, God bless, I sure hope somebody walks up to me right now and starts pitching me on some health and wellness stuff. Could have been. I would have nailed it, you know? But if we do it the other way.
The truck driver, because
Actually, hold on a second. Actually, we let in actually his son just recently had surgery on his knee, and I thought, bam, inflammation. This will help with inflammation.
Absolutely.
And he looked at me and goes, oh, absolutely. So
Now, if you know that information, you've already got rapport built with them, and you confirm that. You come in and say, hey, by the way, I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier. You still dealing with that knee problem with all that inflammation? And they're like, yeah, why do you ask? Now you're talking about
first my nurse practitioner.
That's it. And so you already have a good feel on what's going on. You confirm that. Think of the difference of how that is. It's achieving the same thing just in reverse order. And now you've got somebody that is going to be following you around like a puppy. They're going to be like, what you got? Why do you ask? How in the hell is it already?
Well, within 24 hours, we got 3 contacts. And, I had 26 written down last night. But, and one of these, actually 2 of these weren't even on my list. So I still have.
And that's an active list. That's a list that you're constantly adding to that. So you
I
got
want 1 contact a day. I want to make 1 phone call or one a day or more. At a minimum.
You were speaking of the truck driver. We have a friend. My family owns a Peterbilt dealership in Garden City, Kansas. We have a friend, a big, big customer of ours that has a milk business, and they haul milk throughout the U.S. He has a lot of knee and back trouble. His daughter does, and he's got all these drivers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go hit him up, and that's going to be because he's around these people all the time, and I think that can be
customers and distributors.
That's it. But the key takeaway, I really want to make sure this is hammered in. Make sure you find out what they want, and then show them how Kyani will get it for them. That's it. If you do just that, and then do not throw up on them and give them all the information, because you are a nurse practitioner. You're going to know this stuff. Yep. They're going to think that they got to be a nurse practitioner to do this too. It won't do. You will kill it. I can tell right now you're going to sponsor so many freaking people. But it's going to irritate the crap out of you if you sponsor 45 people and none of them go out and get another distributor. That's going to irritate you beyond belief.
I'll ride their butts again. I'll hit them again.
But here's the thing. If you will go at it with this process where you don't answer the question, but you put Sherry on the phone, you put me on the phone with them to do that, just for your first layer of your tree. There's you, and then there's your first layer of people. Just for these people, don't be the proof person for them. Be the trust person, and then say, I got a guy. I got a plumber that can fix your
first layer. How many people? Does it matter?
As many as you can bring. Now, here's the deal. As soon as they get in, they're going to go down and they got their list each. You bring in 20 people and they each got 20 people on their first list. That's 400 people that you've got ready that's getting ready to hear about some stuff. And those 400 people need to be asked what their issue is. And when those 400 people say, this person cares about me, I'm going to share some stuff. Oh my God, they can fix my problem. And they get put on the phone. They're going to get put on the phone with you guys. That's when you're going to answer all their questions. You become the proof for the next layer. It's like the grandparents talking to the grandchildren. You know you can't tell your kids anything, but your grandkids will listen to you if any of y'all are at that point. Okay?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Better not be.
But you get my point?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You guys got me fired up. I mean, it's 53 minutes past the hour, and I feel like we just started. I am jacked right now, so you guys are awesome. All right, whoa, we got 16.
Tomorrow brings another day.
Absolutely. I love it. Let me see what we got here in the comments. There was a question that says, what if I have been doing this wrong? How do I go back to the prospect and reintroduce the peak? Then how do you actually pass someone to the proof person? My people want a sample and I have been giving them something. So how do you do that? You go back to them and say, if they've kind of ghosted you, if they stopped, having conversation with you, if they got it in their head that I can't do this, I don't want to do all the things that I think I know all the stuff that has to be done based on how this was introduced to me. What you can do is go back to them and say, hey, I got to tell you, I apologize. I screwed up. I got really excited. I just got started in this thing. I'm learning all the skills. And I realized that I came in way too strong, way too excited, and I completely did this a complete injustice. I got to fix that. It would not be right of me to not come around. I need you to talk to somebody for me. You told me that you had an issue with your health, or you told me that you had an issue with your wealth, and I need you to just do me a huge favor and give me 5 minutes on the phone with somebody because I messed up and I don't want you to suffer as a result of that. That is a very powerful way to come back around and fix somebody that you might have went down the wrong path with if you got excited. All right. Man, we got a lot of good comments on here. One quick second. All right. They just got, yep. Find out what they need. Figure out how Kayani will get it for them. That is so true. Haha, that's right, Mr. Mike Long. There's some rock stars in here. First layer is you. Process of full proof. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for all the cool comments. Okay. Let's get one more question in from somebody else. Anybody else got any questions? If not, I'm going to keep going back to the Stevensons, man. They're on a roll here. So who else has got some questions? I know this has been good for everybody. That's the power of Power Hour. So one person's got the question. Any out there? All right, Ed, and I'm sorry, what you got there? What you got there, Ed?
Right there's my motivation.
That's a why right there, folks.
Right there. That's my motivation.
I love it. Well,
I wish my son would have just sent me the picture that's our next motivation, that he will be our next person under us in our family and is our son. And my youngest just screenshotted his Snapchat. He's training for a physique competition. And of course he showed little brother what it looks like so far, but not mama. Yeah. And I would show you all, but he didn't text me like I asked him to. Go figure.
That's funny. One thing I will mention, when you have a lot of family members coming in, do your darndest if you want to really get them moving up in the ranks. Make sure they come in at least the $5.99. I know a lot of times it's tempting to have them come in at the $3.99 just because it's like, man, we're dropping the money on getting some people in. That $5.99, if you're looking from a long-term perspective for them to be able to build, make sure you're doing that $5.99 so that they can get to the ranks. I've got a video out on Power Hour on the links. If somebody would chunk the Power Hour link out there for me on the chat. But it's called $3.99 versus $5.99. Watch that. It's about a 20-minute video, and it breaks down the math on why the $5.99 is definitely so much better than the $3.99. $12.99 is the best. You're going to get the most product to be able to hand that out for. Thank you, Ms. Sarah Ho. For if you guys look in the chat session, you can grab the link there for where all the videos are stored. So just a quick note there.
There's definitely a lot of, let me film that 1 second. Sorry. There we go. There is a lot of information. It's like we are, 24 hours, we are in this 24 hours, and man, we were bombarded with a lot of links and videos. And I work a full-time job. Actually, I'm doing 2 positions in my full-time job. And so,
let me make it easy for you.
And our company in the back office per se.
Let me make it easy for you. Here's all you need to focus on. And then when you've got cracks of your day that's not during prime time, okay? And what I mean by that is about 11 o'clock at night, that's when you want to go study, okay? And that's what you do to finally get yourself to settle down. You drink you take a whole bottle of Sunset and then finally be able to.
Right here.
So here's all you need to focus on. When it gets confusing, here's the basics. You need to have a list. And on each one of those, you need to make sure that you build rapport.
Yeah.
You get the answer to the wealth question, the health question, the time, or the beauty. When you get the answer to that, either the fact that you already know them over time and you've already got that, then you confirm that by piquing their interest. So what I'm hearing you say is you got to get Susie to college. What I'm hearing you say is your knee hurts really freaking bad. What I hear you say is you've been working in 6 different industries. You got 2 full-time jobs. You got a restaurant business in the back. You're looking for some time freedom because you like the money, but you want the time. That's what I'm hearing you say for you guys. And then once they say yes, they're going to then say, what do you have? When they do that, they're interested because you hit one of their hot buttons. When you do that, you're going to say, here's what I've got. I got a guy or I got a girl. You need to get on the phone with them. Because when people are successful in what they do, they're experts in their field. You are an expert in a couple of fields. When somebody comes over and they got a plumbing issue, you're not a master plumber. Could you figure it out? Probably. They know you're a nurse. They probably don't want you in there jacking with their plumbing. So what do? You say, I know a plumber. I see you got a sink that's stopped up. You want to fix that? Or do you want to sit there and get all bent out of shape about your garbage disposal not working? No, I want to fix that. Why? Why are you mentioning that? Because I've got a guy that can solve that problem. It's the best plumber in the freaking world. You will love this plumber. All you got to do is get on the phone with this plumber and your plumbing issues are solved. Amen. That's called edification. When you edify somebody like that, y'all all want to get on the phone with my plumber right now. Y'all are jacked up, excited about my plumber because you got a problem and there's somebody that knows somebody that can fix it. That's all you do. If you will get really good at that and you make it where Sherry just finally says, Uncle, good Lord, I can't talk to 40 people a day. What she's going to do, she's going to call me. And if you overwhelm me, then I'm going to call Miles Staller. If you overwhelm him, I'm going to call David Nieves. If you overwhelm him, I'm going to call James Bradford. If you overwhelm him, I'm going to get Mark Davenport. If you overrun him, I'm going to get Stefan Edefors. If you overrun him, I'm going to call Kirk. You ain't going to be able to overrun all of us. So that's all you got to do. If you just get good at that and then fill in the blanks, use Kyani Pro to learn some more about the products, not for your people in your list, but for your grandkids, not your kids, the next generation. Learn all this stuff, all the extra goodies that are in there. Do all that. You're going to need to know that because you're going to be the proof person before too long. But in the beginning, you do not need to know that. You need to know a guy. I got a guy. That's what you got. If you get good at that, you will crush this business. If you don't get good at that, you will be forever frustrated and irritated with this. Now, the cool thing about this comp plan is you can still make a lot of money and be irritated. But if you do it this way, I promise you, you will have the time, the money, the health, and the beauty, all of them wrapped up to be able to do this thing.
So a quick question.
Last one, and then we got to scoot.
You said wealth, health, time, and beauty.
Yep.
Is that ask what they want?
Yes. Find out if they want that. When they give you that information or you have deduced that information, I deduced that guy was a truck driver by my awareness. That's all there was. I confirmed that with him by asking questions. Hey, is that your rig out there? It sure is. Now we got something we can start talking about.
A lot of people know me by business because of the restaurant and because of this nursing agency. I'm out to make money.
And they know you're busy. They know you're busy. And
Yeah.
since they know you're busy, if you tell them you started something else, you're like, how the hell did you start something else? You don't have any time. And
We sold the restaurant.
Yeah,
we
we sold the restaurant. That's
don't tell
done.
nobody that.
But they know it. We're
It's a small town.
Okay, so they know. But the thing is, they're going
making money.
and keep that awareness that they know that about you, and that's going to get their interest up even more. They're going to know that you know a guy. They're going to know that you run in these circles. They're going to know when you get into something, you're going to have people that ain't going to need to hear a whole lot from Sherry or I. They're going to get in solely because you're in. That's why we're looking for people like you. We're looking for power. Everybody's looking for y'all. That's why everybody said they'd like to clone you already.
Just as salesmen know their vehicles they're selling, or the trucks they sell, or the clothes, the brand, et cetera, et cetera. I want to know, and I've done some research, PubMed, the ingredients in this product. I have to be backed by this product because I'm going to be preaching about the product. I want to know exactly what's in this product, what it does.
Sherry, she's got all of that. We've got chemists, we've got doctors, we've got everybody.
We listened to it all the way going down the road the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to love it. As you keep digging, you're going to be like, holy crap. And you're going to dig to a level that I got my proof a long time ago on what I needed. You're going to need more, but it's there. I promise
The
you.
proof is what pumped me.
So my final statement for the night is I'm disturbed by one thing I heard you say tonight.
What's that?
So my husband is going to have to earn me a BMW because my kids think I need one bad and I only have a Denali. So he's going to earn me one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you use the color white. Do they have to be white?
They do.
Oh, we're black
We
people.
drive everything black.
When they send you the check for it, you get over it real quick. Because I was the same way. I wanted a black one, and then I was like, you know what? Y'all are paying for the Mercedes.
Wait
Shit.
a minute. In my family, they all are disturbed by our black vehicles and they think it's horrible. And I swore to them I'd never own another white vehicle. I may have to eat my words, and that's a horrible thing when you come from my family.
That's
Oh.
too funny.
But I'll
Okay,
do it. I'll do it.
Casey, one of these days I'll shake your hand.
It won't be too long from now. It will not be too long for now. So excellent, guys. Well, we're over time. I appreciate everybody. I really appreciate the wonderful interaction with the Stevenson. Thank you guys so much. You guys got me fired up. I know you got a lot of other people fired up. So keep following that. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And thank you guys for all your cool comments on here.
Thank you.
Yes, you are allowed to say that, Miss Sarah. Excellent. So here's what we're going to do. We've got the summit coming in right now on the same channel. I'm going to stop the video for everybody that needs to jump onto their call. Go ahead. If you want to stick around, you're more than welcome to hear what it is about. But with that, thank you guys. I'm going to unmute the line so everybody can say good night. That needs to drop off. And see you all next time.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you guys. You're badass, Mr. Salji. So badass.
Thank you, Miss Sarah. I love it.
Everybody.
I love it. Bye-bye, everybody. All right. Let me stop.